I swear. All right, folks. New week, new show, new stories, new everything.
New
Um,
beginnings.
so we're gonna get started on probably my favorite topic to talk about right now, the NBA Finals. Um, and because I've got a lot to say on it, I'm gonna let Travis go first on his thoughts on Game Five.
Devin Booker had dropped a 40-piece wing order on them heads, but it wasn't enough for the Suns to come out of that game, which they were at home, which I had the Suns winning that game. I think a lot of people had the Suns winning that game. Um, but I will say this. If Devin Booker drops 40, Chris Paul has been playing terribly, but he at least dropped more than 20 points last night, a couple of assists,
Yeah,
and it's pretty good for them three.
yeah.
Um, I think they need to get DeAndre Ayton more offensive opportunities. You know, even if it's just like getting him to get fouled more and put him in foul trouble. Hell, he might not make the free throws, but damn, maybe he might get Giannis or PJ Tucker or somebody
Yes.
like or Chris Middleton in foul trouble. If keep going to pick and roll, maybe a little bit more, but I don't know. But
Yes.
also the thing about the Bucks that they have is veterans, experience, and size against the young Suns. But the Suns, I believe, have more firepower within them if they just use it correctly. And I still think they have a chance to win this game in seven. I mean, to win the finals in 7 games.
That's true. I mean, I don't know. I excuse me for crapping on Devin on D book. D book. I give him much love. Sometimes a little too much because he might be one of the best shooters in the game right now. Uh, but Game Five, I will say the Phoenix Suns let me down.
Yeah.
I was disappointed, and it wasn't. I was excited to see LeBron out there supporting CP3
Jesus Christ.
because
I
his
forgot
crappy
that
ass
happened.
Lakers couldn't win the NBA Finals. I was excited to see Adele, Lil Wayne, Vanessa Hudgens, who looks pretty damn good in a Phoenix uniform, by the way. But that's another topic for another day. But I was just disappointed. I was disappointed because the Suns played so bad last night and so abysmal. They actually made the Bucks look like they could actually win this thing. They actually made the Milwaukee Bucks look good. And that's scary because I've seen Milwaukee blow some playoff matchups. And the only team, in my opinion, that is not worthy of winning an NBA title ever is the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm going to say it. Because, bro, if you haven't figured out that you need to trade Ben Simmons' ass right now, we got a problem. We got a problem. I hate to say it. But in other news from the NBA, I did see that Damian Lillard did deny the trade rumors. So leaving Portland, maybe not. But to the goddamn Warriors, whoever started that rumor, I just want to punch him right in the throat.
And also, I still think that will work well. They would literally, I don't think only Clay will get like playing time or like get like his shots up like he wants to, and it's bad enough to get the share with Steph, but like
I
they're
think
both
I think
unselfish players.
I think the only way that they'd be able to afford Damian Lillard is they would have to get rid of Clay and they'd have to do with like a 3-team trade. Like Portland would have to get somebody because what's his name? Because Carmelo Anthony's talking about leaving to go to the Lakers. Finally, like, oh my god, that dude, he's another one. He triggers me so much. Oh, I'm gonna finally decide to go. I'm gonna decide to go to a team that's gonna win a championship, bro. We've been waiting. We've been waiting for how long? No, I mean, not the worst thing to come out of it though. But Phoenix need to step the hell up, man, because two games left. 2 games left. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if that brother in that Milwaukee Bucks shirt that he ripped in half says Bucks in 6, and he's right, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very disappointed because I don't know if you. I'm assuming you watched the whole game. They had the guy in the stands in Phoenix that was counting the money, and I was like, "Bro, your team is down by 15 points. Unless you bet on Milwaukee, you should not be counting that kind of money on national television." Also, by the way, dude, your face is all over now, so people know what you look like, dumbass. So roasted, boom. In more exciting news, though, because as much fun as it is talking NBA, Team USA is sucking like bad, and this kind of brings me to another point.
Who do we beat though? Who do we just beat? We beat someone like kind of not really good.
Played Australia, we lost.
Yeah, played Nigeria, we lost.
Yeah, which I'm like, dude, how? I'm trying to think who did they just play? Was it like Greece or somebody? I don't know. They played somebody in one, and I'm just like, dude, you're 1-2 in exhibitions. How do you consider yourself a gold medal contender? And then the women lost to Australia because they wouldn't put what's her name on the squad. I think partially that has something to do with it.
Who?
Bumake or whatever her name is. The two sisters, because they put one on and they left one off, and I was like, well, Team USA need to rethink their strategy. Like they need to stack that roster, and as you can see, Team USA playing like trash. But my question to you, Mr. Gardner, is Team USA overrated, or are they just underachieving? Is this like a slump?
I honestly just think that I think it's underachieving. I think it's underachieving because if you really look at the skill level and the amount of players that have the talent and the potential to win, I think it should be the United States. And I generally think that second, I'm not gonna lie, it should be Australia. Australia has a really good team together, a really good coach, veteran team. Very good around South players, Patty Mills, Joe Ingles with the leadership, different players like that. If Ben Simmons had a shot, he would be playing for Australia right now. Will make them more dangerous, but
Can you imagine Ben Simmons playing in the Olympics? I think all of Philadelphia would kill him.
Oh God.
Because I'm telling you right now, I bet you he would go to the Olympics and he'd make all of his free throws. I swear to God, no, I bet you he'd play better in international than he would be with the 76ers. Because the man, just like Giannis struggles to make free throws too. But Ben Simmons just, oh my God, the worst. The worst. But no, I mean, I think it's a mixture of both actually. I think first of all, the fact that Bradley Beal is no longer a member of Team USA, I think is going to hurt them. So they have to replace him, and and I have much love and respect to Bradley Beal. I mean, that is one of the hardest working dudes in the NBA right now. I've never seen a guy so talented, be just, nonstop phenomenal and just not get the credit for it. So there's that. I think that kind of plays a role in it too. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of these guys that are on these teams just lost in the playoffs and they're just tired. I think that has a lot to do with it as well. But also, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's been playing lights out.
Yeah.
And when he's the only one balling out, and you have Damian fucking Lillard, who can shoot from a mile away and make the stupid
Dame time.
And even he can't make a shot. Come on. And no, I will say in defense of team Nigeria, whoever made that block on who was it?
Kevin Durant. It was Precious.
Yeah. Whoever that guy was that made that block, much respect, dude. Because I wouldn't want to be defending Kevin Durant.
No, and like I'm not gonna lie, he got up with him like it was all ball, like all one hand on all ball, and I was like, damn, okay,
But in a
okay,
way, I'm actually kind of glad that Team USA has not just like crapped on the teams that they've lost to.
yeah,
Because I think that to me sends a terrible message. I think, when you're just like, oh, this team like isn't worth our time, and I'm like, are you serious? Like
this
they like just beat you. Because remember when they
is speech.
well no, because remember when the US women's soccer team when they played Sweden and lost, and Hope Solo came out and was like, they played like cowards. I was like, yeah, but they got a medal. Where your medal? So their cowardice paid off. So, so there's like that. And Team USA isn't very like outspoken, about it, which I think is good. I think I think it's better for them in the long run. I think we just don't want a repeat of Athens 2004,
Oh God,
where
oh God,
like you finished with the bronze medal, like as arguably a Hall of Fame team, and
so
you
much, but so
bronze.
talented.
Yeah, no. That's just, that to me that's just unacceptable. I get if like, we lose in like track and field, or if we lost in um what is it? Like I don't know, like any of the other like Olympic sports, like the true like Olympic sports. But basketball to me shouldn't even be like a second guess. And maybe that's just the problem with us as fans, is that we've become so accustomed to, oh shit, like look at how great our team is. Because for me, like when they were talking about, oh yeah, Team USA, like a couple, like the last Olympics, I was like, DeAndre Jordan is not one, like he's an awesome player, but he's not one of the best players that we have.
Not even close to one of the best big man. And like the best big man that we have on Team USA is Bam Adebayo. And I'm not saying Bam isn't a good center. I just see Bam more as a stretch five, or like a four, really, more like a power forward, to be honest with you, because he has the size of a center, but he doesn't have like the built.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you
I mean,
know,
well, and I think what it is now too, if you notice a lot of the better players on the better um like the better NBA teams, a lot of those like those big men
are
are
foreign.
they're foreign. Bogdanovich with the Mavs, um, Porzingis, who like you can argue his talent because he's definitely like an awesome shooter. He's also foreign. Also, remember the Mavericks. Trying to think about Giannis. And again, I'm not gonna say that he's not overrated, because the bro is about to win a championship. So he might be achieving the status finally. He might outlive the MVP the MVP talk. The MVP talk. I'm not saying he's not overrated. Notice I'm treading the thin line here.
I just think that he didn't deserve the MVP last year. That's all I'm gonna say on the matter.
Stay calm. Stay calm. I know you just want to jump through the camera. Like you're wrong. You want to go? You want to go all? No, you definitely. You want to? You look like you want to go all Stephen A. on me and just be like,
Oh no, no. I mean, not on you, but on the topic itself. I just. Chris Paul and Devin Booker just need to just need to be Stephen Clay for like 2 games. Just shoot the best you can. Damn it.
yeah, yeah.
just do what you do.
Yeah, man. Do what you do. I like that. Moving away from basketball though, we had an interesting fight last weekend. Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor,
Jesus.
which was not only was it a sham, I actually won $400 thanks to Dustin Poirier. So
You
me and
always
Dustin,
bet on the homeboy.
so me and Dustin were cool. Is Conor McGregor finished?
I think so. I think maybe he has a couple more fights in him to make the money and be done, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's like it's the glory's over. No more championship. Because what I think what Poirier's won the last two, or is he won? Or has Poirier won all three?
Poirier's won the last two
Yeah, he's
out
won.
of the trilogy.
Because like I mean, I think going into that first fight, Poirier like no one knew who in the hell Dustin Poirier was. You know,
Yeah,
now everyone's like, this dude's like terrifying, and I 100% agree. Dustin Poirier looks like the baddest mofo in UFC right now. Like heavyweight, welterweight, lightweight, but like Dustin Poirier up here, in my opinion. But the
I
thing,
agree.
well, the thing about like a guy like Conor McGregor though is, yeah, I think I agree. I think with the money fights, I think he's definitely more of a shoe in. But I wouldn't necessarily say that he's like done. Um, I don't think I wouldn't sit here and be like, oh, he's done. Um, either. I mean, and again, that's just my opinion. I don't think that, I don't think it's over for him. I just don't think that he's like, you know, done.
Let's fuck. Let's
So
get it.
yeah, I mean, I don't think Connor's like, I don't think Connor's done. Um, maybe one or two more money fights and that's it. But he's also worth so much. I think he'll retire after like I think him and Poirier will fight one more time.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think
Definitely one more time.
that'll be like the moneymaker. And then I think weirdly enough, I think Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor are both gonna retire. I think it's gonna be one of those where it's just like, yeah, I'm kind of done. Because Dustin Poirier, other than Conor McGregor, like I can't really name anyone that he's really fought that's been like worth a damn. I mean, and I'm not saying like he's not trash. Like I'm not definitely not saying that. Like, he's never tied. He's had, he's 28, he's 28 and 6. Like the dude's freaking nuts. Um, but I don't know how long he can keep it up, and definitely Connor's definitely, getting up there in age too. So it's not like he's, I mean, yeah, he's 33. Like,
Yeah.
who knows? But I mean, but I also wouldn't sit there and be like, oh, he's like overrated. Like I definitely wouldn't be like, oh, because Connor definitely had like his like solid like 4 or 5 years where he was like the best one. It's just that Dustin Poirier just kind of got popular recently. He kicked his ass multiple times.
He
Um,
won. He's been winning, and like not just against Conor McGregor. Dustin apparently has been winning against other matches too.
dude. Dustin Poirier is pretty solid. Again, as you can probably tell, I'm not as big into the UFC side of things, but I will say the kid Adesanya, I think is his name. Yeah, he's pretty cool too. He's pretty interesting to watch because he's a, kind of like that smaller guy, but he's fast, dude. And he's definitely one of those to keep your eye on in the future. He might be the next great one. But who knows? You know. So, and this might be a controversial topic, but I feel like we need to kind of talk about it. Um, Richard Sherman's arrest. You know, Richard Sherman has been a lot of things: a trash talker, a god defensively. But I never thought I would sit there and be like, that's a dude that's guilty of domestic violence, that's guilty of driving under intoxication. I never thought that I would have to say that about him. And personally, I'm not a Richard Sherman fan. I like his athleticism. And I think, and I will never sit there and be like, oh, he's like one of the worst. No, I think to me, he's probably one of the best of his generation as a cornerback. Um, but does this like whole arrest situation dampen the remainder of his career?
Um, I'll say we have seen players, coaches, um, recently of all times,
Mhm.
that have gotten in trouble with the DOI situations, and a lot of bad things have happened recently. Was with the Kansas City coach,
Yeah.
well, Andy Reid's son. He got in the run, like killed a little girl
Yeah.
in the process. So and then but then you have this Richard Sherman situation, which is completely like two completely different situations, but like the most common factor that they both were under influence. And I just think that Richard Sherman has just been doing like a lot of bad recent professional and personal things in his life.
Yeah.
At least like the things I've read into the case,
Yeah.
or to the situation. So um and like I don't know if you read, but like the court basically they let him go without bail. But they give him like a list of demands that he must follow.
Hmm.
Um and like which is very strict, of course.
Yeah.
Which to be honest, I don't really have a problem with that, especially if Richard Sherman is known for his social work and like his work with the community. Um Especially still in Seattle and San Francisco, where he's from. So you know, I don't think Richard Sherman's a bad person. I just think he made a really dumb mistake.
Yeah. Foolish move, dude. I mean, I don't. I mean, I think he's. I think he'll definitely be one of those guys, Hall of Fame worthy, in my opinion. I think, as a part of one of the greatest NFL defenses of all time. Um, but I think this, to me, this kind of calls into question um, the integrity of it. And again, I'm not a fan of his antics. I'm the type that just says shut up, play the game. Although, granted, when I found out why he was so mad at Michael Crabtree, I later understood why. Is Aqib Talib, same thing. Same
Usually same thing.
the brother took off his chain and planned on putting it around his pit bull. Michael Crabtree done pisses everybody off.
Jesus Christ.
That's what, dude. I swear, no. That's what Aqib Talib said. That's why he ripped the chain off him. He was going to rip it. And he was going to put it around his pit bull. What I don't understand though is with with a guy as talented as Richard Sherman, Josh Norman even. Josh Norman is so talented. Why does he feel the need to trash on people? Because I feel like Josh Norman is another one, extremely talented, has the gifts, has the abilities, and then all of a sudden he gets like stiff armed by freaking Derrick Henry, because everyone gets stiff armed by Derrick Henry.
You
Um,
really do. It happens to the best of
yeah,
players.
everyone gets stiff armed by Derrick Henry. King Henry's they like to call him. But like, I don't know. I feel like there has to be like a different approach to that, because Richard Sherman is one of those guys that I'm like, originally, for as trashy as he behaved on the field, he was a role model off of it. And then I think this kind of changed that perspective. Now, on the other hand, it's a minor setback, it's a minor mistake. I think you brought up, Andy Reid's son with that. And it's not like Richard Sherman's like an addict. He's not a Josh Gordon where like
Yeah.
he's gonna keep like having to reapply for joining the NFL, which much love to Josh Gordon, the best receiver I've ever seen, smoke a bowl and catch for 200 yards in back-to-back games. That's freaking awesome. But to keep making, and I think that's kind of where I think we see the differences, and maybe I'm wrong, but when I see, like the Seattle Seahawks earlier this year had one of their linemen had an issue of domestic violence. Is it a question of whether the NFL handles domestic violence properly?
That is true.
Because I think that's something that, and like I said, it's a touchy subject. In some cases, and in some homes, it is more of a personal issue. Thankfully, I was not in a home where domestic violence was prevalent, and to my knowledge, you were not either. Um, but there are people that live in homes like this. Does that do you think that that kind of changes the perspective on the situation, because the NFL has historically been terrible in handling domestic violence cases and domestic violence issues?
I just hope that I'm actually kind of glad you brought up the other situation with the Seattle Seahawks with the lineman. I remember that actually.
It's
I
terrible.
was very. It was just wrong, man. And like the dude said like, oh, you're still breathing, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if you're not on your medication or not. You don't say that to a person after you just fucking beat the living hell out of them.
Yeah,
You know. And I just hope they don't really put. I want Richard Sherman to understand what he did was wrong. And
yeah.
I think that should be a proper punishment handed out by the NFL. Depends on what they want to do, of course, but like you said, they've been terrible with these kind of situations. Another person, I know we'd like to not bring up, terrible situations, y'all, but these things happen.
Mhm.
Um, with Adrian Peterson, what was going on with him, another player, I forgot what was his name. Like he around literally like a couple months before or after that, got in trouble for the same kind of situation. And you're like, what's going on here? What are we going to do?
But is it, and again, this, like I said, this kind of borders on that question though. Is it a culture thing? Is it like, and not in the sense of, not in the sense of, black or white or, or whatever. What I'm saying is like, is it a culture thing from like an athlete perspective, to where it's just like, oh shit, like I'm the baddest out there. Let me just do some stupid shit and see if I can get away with it. Or is it just, I'm Richard Sherman, I screwed up, I made a mistake. You know what I mean? Like, let me own up to it, if that makes sense. Because I think what it is a lot of times when it comes to issues of domestic violence, there's what she said, what he said, and then what actually happened. And I think, I think Richard Sherman will be fine. I don't think this is going to be a career like disruptor. I think, based on the fact, like based on character clauses, I think he'll still be eligible um, in the long run. And it's kind of terrible to say that because he was under substances doing this. But again, you kind of brought up a point. It's not the first time this has happened. Um, you know, definitely, definitely one of those cases where, a guy like Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor played on crack. Like let's like jokes aside, he played on crack. I don't know how a fucking animal like that played on crack, broke Joe Thosman's leg, and was fucked up, and was like, dude, I can't believe I did that to somebody. But the thing about LT is I give LT a pass because for as much of an off the field problem as he was with abuse and like he was, I don't ever recall hearing a story about LT being a domestic violence, because I think domestic violence and like substance addiction are two completely different things. But in the case of this, and that's why I bring this up with you, is because Richard Sherman did both. Like that's where the gray area is. It's not like oh, he was just drunk driving and they pulled him over in Seattle. It's not like
Right.
oh, he was just beating someone brutally. It was a matter of both. And I think that's like that's the problem. I think, and the NFL has not said anything on it, which I think the NFL is the one group that should be saying something on it. Very similar, and very similar to how they handled, Black Lives Matter. The NFL was silent through all that issue. If anybody came out about it, it was the NBA.
That's true.
But the NFL, for whatever reason, and this is why, and I want to, address this to all of our listeners, viewers, however you receive the show, is domestic violence is not okay. Drug abuse alcohol abuse, any type of abuse is not okay. The difference, though, is, and I want to clarify this, the difference is, though, is that the organization for which Richard Sherman is currently employed has not made a statement on it. The organization that is governed or that governs the San Francisco 49ers organization has not spoken up on it either. And that, to me, is a problem, because in the event that you're dealing with something like this is like heavy shit. It's not like, oh, he just did one or the other. He did both. But again, if it's not, I don't think it'll end up being career altering. I don't think that it'll affect his image. I definitely don't think it'll affect his play on the field. But it kind of brings up that question of, to the NFL, like, where were you? Where were you when this all happened? So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that and kind of highlight your opinion on that.
I think the NFL needs to do a better job overall, just addressing issues that happen and just do it. You might as well just do it like at least the day after it happens.
Yeah.
Especially if it's an active player. And here's another thing too. Don't take advantage of like good things or like to some people good news. Like when that defensive end from the Raiders came out of the closet, he came out. The NFL was all up around it. It was Pride Month, and stuff. So like, and like I'm glad the NFL did that, but also, like you said, with this situation, the NFL hasn't really talked about it.
Absolutely, and I think that's a problem. And I'm not saying that with the individual that came out, like, dude, I'm proud of him for feeling comfortable enough to do that.
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy.
Right. I mean, it's I think it was Nassib, I think was his last name.
Carl Nassib.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And he's a hell of a football player. So that kind of, to me, kind of adds it. So there's that. But I think the NFL has to be more willing to speak on the problems than like the positive. Like, if that makes sense. Because, the NFL, like Aaron Hernandez, the NFL didn't speak up too much on Aaron Hernandez either. And we saw how that turned out. Now Aaron Hernandez, in my opinion, did bad shit, worse than what Richard Sherman did. But still, there's still kind of that struggle to be like, well, why are we taking it like this when look at what this guy did, and it's, I don't know, I think long term, I think it's an issue that the NFL needs to explore. So if anyone from the NFL is like watching, please explore this. Like, it's a shame, those of us that, love and respect females and women for all that they bring, to our planet, and especially to our lives, as human beings in general. I just want to address, we don't advocate for that. Like, it's not okay. It's not cool. It's not funny by any stretch of the imagination. So, we're kind of pleading that something be done about it from the NFL's perspective. So off to, much, I don't want to say scarier topics, but another kind of topic that needs to be addressed. So last night at about 8:00 Eastern time, that is, because Travis is out there living in good old New Orleans. 8:00 my time in here in South Carolina. Nationals Padres game is on, and then all of a sudden, outside the stadium is what I read, but other reports are conflicting. Anyways, shooting. Game was stopped. They told everyone to remain calm, remain in your seats, and then the game was postponed. Now, I don't know if Travis, I don't know if you're familiar with the area where Nationals Park is located. It's located by the Navy Yard, which was where they had that shooting several years ago. Now, granted, I don't feel like this was like as big of an issue. But Nationals Park, where it was located, or where it's located now, originally it was a very crime-ridden area of DC, not a very good area to raise families. And then all of a sudden, with gentrification that occurred, due to Major League Baseball wanting to clean up the area, so to speak, it's actually been rated one of the more safe areas in the city until last night when all hell broke loose. It seemed like for the 3 individuals who were shot, you're in our prayers. For everyone that was put in danger, you're also in our prayers for that. That was definitely something traumatic. Thankfully, I was not watching the game live when it happened. But it definitely, as a big baseball fan, it definitely brings about, just I think the worst in a situation, because Major League Baseball, we've heard a lot of things about, especially like in LA, they had the issue where a couple of years ago a guy fell from the rafters in Dodger Stadium, But again, it was not necessarily through any fault of his own. But we don't really hear cases of murder or, that kind of stuff really in baseball, which is why this one was very peculiar. If you had anything to add, Travis, absolutely speak on this, because I read a little bit about it, but I'm still kind of in that base level of I don't really know what happened, but I don't really know what happened.
Yeah, I didn't even know about the shooting till you told me so I look at the notes for the show. I looked up and I looked up the story and I was like, wow, this is crazy. But I'm glad it was only. I mean, I'm not glad, but only 3 people were harmed,
as opposed to what could have been. Yeah.
Yeah, when I heard shooting, I would think, oh God, this happens at a stadium, during the game, and then I looked into it. I apparently at least the majority of reports I looked at, it was outside the stadium, and a lot of them said that the police said it was outside the stadium. No one inside the stadium got hurt, but the 3 individuals were all outside the stadium, and it just I don't really know DC that well.
Mm-hmm.
I might visit her one day. I'm not gonna lie, and there's no disrespect to the people that are from DC. You're watching the show. I don't know what the big deals with DC, but I might visit one day. But to know about that kind of area that you brought up, is not surprised. Because these kind of things can happen, especially when you make radical, quick changes like that, instead of actually dealing with the problem in the area.
Yeah.
I feel like they just, like you said, gentrification, really trying to rush the process of people who are in the area kind of feel like, I mean, yeah, you can stay, or we're gonna raise property taxes and stuff like that, and based in rent and quality of living, but you don't have enough, you don't have that quality of living before, so why we help you out now, So it just
for sure.
It's kind of a sad story overall, because you bring up both topics of the story, the shooting and the sad part of the area of what it is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and again, that's not one of those things where because that, like I said, that part of DC, having visited several times and having been to National Park several times, it's not one of those areas where I'm sitting there going, oh my, this is the part of, because DC has its parts, like every city. I mean, and we're not really ones to judge because of where we grew up, because New Orleans has its areas too. Seriously.
Yeah. Yes, they do. Yes.
Yes. A lot of people, I always tell people, areas people will tell me how scary Atlanta is. And I'm like, dude, grew up in New Orleans. And they're just like, oh, New Orleans ain't that scary. I was like, then why do we have the 3rd highest murder rate per capita in the United States of America? You know what I mean? There's that. And DC, I don't think has that kind of a rap. And so when a mass shooting like this takes place, because I think you have to classify it as a mass shooting. It kind of brings into question that what the fuck, what happened, what caused it. And I think for Nationals fans everywhere, I think it's one of those where it's just like, dude, like, is it safe to go back to the ballpark like that? Like how scary, like, and how scary that is, because that it really turned into a nice area. Um, and I don't know, again, I don't know if you're familiar with where Truist Park is in Atlanta. They did a very similar thing. They cleaned up the area, which I know is not necessarily the most politically correct term. And then they raised property taxes they raised prices. In Atlanta, it's worked out fine. Now granted, this is one small incident, but it's still kind of a big deal, I think, for the sport because, today they went on, finished the game. And I feel like there was still a little bit of an eerie feeling like something's going to happen again. And, and I don't feel like as a fan, that's like okay to be around, so.
I personally agree with you in a way that I think the fans are gonna be more scared now to go back to games, especially with they kind of, I mean, I don't know if we really got over this pandemic yet, but people are going through this pandemic and finally have a little bit of time recently to enjoy games, to be there. Now I feel like they're like, I don't feel safe anymore, not more. So like, why would I go at all? And I feel like that's going to affect the league teams too, with prices maybe potentially. You never know what kind of slippery slope this may cause to the league.
For sure. And I mean, and I think the league is a small part of it. I think this is more so like it's an issue with I think it's an issue with the team. I think because of that, because I think like I said, like when you have that rep, you're trusting when you put people in the ballpark, you're trusting that okay, everyone's going to be safe, and if they're not, then who do they look at? You know what I mean? Like it's one of those kind of situations, that again is not okay, but it could have been worse. So so that kind of wraps up as far as the dark issues, thankfully, so we can get to talk about the fun stuff. Shout out to Collin crap, I can't remember his name now. Collin Morikawa, crap, that's his name. Collin Morikawa for winning the Open Championship today. Second major, my boy is catching up. Is Collin the next great one?
How old is he?
Collin is 24 years old.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right.
He's already got 2 majors, and he won his first one last year, which I believe was the PGA Championship. Yeah, I think it was the PGA Championship. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Wow.
Yeah, he already second major. Like dude is blowing up on Twitter right now, for obvious reasons. Let's see. He began his PGA Tour career with 22 consecutive made cuts, a feat surpassed only by Tiger Woods. I'm not saying the guy's going to win 17 majors, but he's had 5 PGA Tour wins, 2 of which were majors. Like, I mean, if you're into the calling the GOAT business, this guy might be the next big one for golf.
Are you saying, is he the Patrick Mahomes of the golf?
Oh no, he's not the future GOAT. Don't even. Oh my God, I hate that argument. The future GOAT. But I think like he could be one of those guys that for his generation.
I get you.
Because I mean, like Tiger Woods. Like Tiger Woods was a game-changing phenomenon.
Talent, absolutely, just GOAT.
He brought people back, and not only that, I think a lot of it was the fact he was so young and the color of his skin for a game that historically was made popular by white males. So I think Tiger has that. And Collin has that going for him as well. Young guy, you know, minority. He kind of has that same like appeal, if that makes sense. So is he necessarily going to be like the next generational like god?
I think he does, especially at a young age of 24. Like that's a year or our age, like this dude is wearing his second major. I think you're right. I don't know if he can win 17 majors, but I think he could win 10 to 12
Yeah.
at going at this rate.
Yeah. Now one a year. One a year.
One a year.
There. I mean, Jordan Spieth, who finished in second this morning. Jordan Spieth is fourth. Jordan Spieth was supposed to be the great one, and it's not saying like he's like fallen off or anything, but we haven't really heard a lot of thunder from him. Rory McIlroy was another one, supposed to be a great one.
Yeah,
A lot from him. Granted, Rory, the last time I recall watching him win a major, he like destroyed the competition at the U.S. Open. So there was that. But I think like Collin seems like one of those guys that comes along. He comes along once in a blue moon, and I don't know if golf will be revolutionized by him. He's definitely good. He's definitely got good head on his shoulders. He's definitely one of these guys that for years to come will put the game in a more positive light, I think. But worst comes to worst, he may not be the great one. He may not be the next great one.
It's hard to be in sports, especially like individual sports like tennis and golf. I feel like those are like the hardest sports to be like one of the greats of, because especially at that elite level of that kind of competition.
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, great head on his shoulders. The kid knows kind of what he wants. The kid knows what he's doing. So, I wish him the best when it comes to, anything and everything. So I'm not sure if he'll be a legend or not. That could very possibly be that he just doesn't make the cut. So that kind of concludes the Under Pressure program today. Shout out to everybody that's been listening, that's been keeping up with us on Instagram, YouTube, and otherwise. Also, I just want to say shout out to the Yankees tonight, because they're playing the Red Sox, and they really need to beat the Red Sox at some point this season, because it hasn't been pretty.
Oh, they beat us last night.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they beat us last night.
Oh, great then. Yeah. All right. Well, then screw them.
He's like, all right, yeah, okay.
Hope they lose.
Yeah.
Now my Nationals got killed in their first game today, so they lost like 10-4, and right now they're tied in the top of the ninth, 7-7. So the playoff push is real. I don't think they'll make it, but have you had a chance to watch Space Jam 2 yet?
I have not. I have HBO Max though, so I'm about to go watch it actually after this dinner.
Bro, I swear to God, you like everybody I know, dude. You got all. I bet you. Let me guess, you got Hulu too, right? Man, Hulu, ESPN Plus, freaking what's the other one?
Disney Plus,
HBO Max. Oh my, so unfair, dude. So unfair. I mean, I get my limit is YouTube TV, so like I can't make fun. But I'm kind of jealous. I wish I had HBO Max because everyone that I know that has it, the only reason they bought it was for the Friends reunion, and I was like, Friends reunion kind of stunk.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, again, I'm not a Friends fan, so like,
it kind of stunk. Now if it was the It's Always Sunny reunion, be a different story, because you bitch. Shout out to D Reynolds. Can't wait for season 15. But yeah, no, that's gonna do us for today, man. Hope to see y'all next week. Hope to give y'all a shout out and much love. So
all right, y'all. I appreciate the show. It was a fun doing this following day. Hey man, I'm excited for the finals to be over with, to be honest, so I can either live and be happy, or live and just want to deal with the fact that the Bucks are going to be champions. So yeah, let's go. All right, appreciate the show. Shout out to the Red Sox for winning our division, and fuck the Tampa Bay Rays, and fuck the Yankees.
That man said it all in that final closing speech. It was definitely very Oscar worthy. So, all right,
Fuck
y'all.
the Yankees.
Peace.
Peace.